Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you some of the best college football news, predictions, and analysis. As you all know, our main focus here at the Gridiron Expert is and always will be dedicated towards college football. But there is a pretty big football game coming up this Sunday that we cannot ignore. And I don't think many people expected this Super Bowl matchup all the way back when the season began in September. Not after the Patriots' extremely hot start. Not after Lamar Jackson's MVP season. Not after a 6-4 start by the Chiefs. And probably not after the 49ers went 4-12 back in 2018. Yet here we are. The San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs will meet in Miami on Sunday night for Super Bowl 54. And any Super Bowl is a very historic occasion. These two teams cementing themselves in history. The champions of the NFC, the champions of the AFC, one of them will be crowned Super Bowl champion, cementing themselves as one of the best teams in NFL history. We've had 53 in the past. They will make the 54th. But this Super Bowl is especially historic for both of these programs because of the Super Bowl drought. The 49ers are looking for their first Super Bowl title since 1995. A win on Sunday would give the 49ers their 6th ever Super Bowl. They are making their first Super Bowl appearance since 2013 when they fell in the battle of the Harbaugh brothers to the Ravens 34-31. So the Niners have relatively recently been in the Super Bowl on the nation's biggest stage. The same, unfortunately, cannot be said for the Kansas City Chiefs. They're making their first Super Bowl appearance. They're not looking for their first win. They're making their first Super Bowl appearance in 50 years. The Chiefs winning Super Bowl IV all the way back in 1970, 23-7 over the Minnesota Vikings, becoming just the second AFL team to defeat an NFL team in a championship game. So the Chiefs' last Super Bowl appearance came all the way back in 1970. That also marked the last time the Chiefs won a Super Bowl. Actually, is the Chiefs' only Super Bowl that they have to their name. So a very historic matchup will be taking place on Miami, not just because it's a Super Bowl, but because both of these teams are looking to snap some major title droughts. But the beauty of all this is, you're going to talk about it all week. We've been talking about it all week. Everybody wants to look back on the past. Everybody's going to look back at how long it's been for the Chiefs and how great the Niners were back in the day with the likes of Joe Montana and Steve Young and Jerry Rice and guys like that. But the past does not matter this Sunday. The past will not play the slightest bit a role on the field Sunday night down in Miami. And of course, like we've been doing all season for college games and now our first for the NFL, we are here to break down everything you need to know for Super Bowl 54. And we will start by taking a look at the offensive side of the ball. And if you are just the slightest bit of football fan, that is the first area you're going to look when previewing this matchup. Because there is so much star power on the offensive side of the ball. This is going to be a very, very fun game offensively between the 49ers and the Chiefs. You've got Patrick Mahomes going up against Jimmy Garoppolo. The two new guys, really. The two up-and-comers. Tom Brady is on his way out. Drew Brees is on his way out. Peyton Manning is already gone. Eli Manning has now retired. It is time for the new generation of quarterbacks to rise up and take over this National Football League. And you are seeing that here with Patrick Mahomes, who was just drafted back in 2017, and Jimmy Garoppolo, who learned under Tom Brady for a few years before being shipped out west to San Francisco. So you have a phenomenal quarterback battle there. You have George Kittle versus Travis Kelce. Two 1,000-yard tight ends facing off in the Super Bowl. The first time that has ever happened in a Super Bowl, that we will have two tight ends that have had over 1,000 receiving yards on the season. Two very outspoken but very physical and explosive tight ends that will be facing off on Sunday night. For the Chiefs, you've got some very fast players, both in the backfield and out wide for Patrick Mahomes. You've got Tyreek Hill. You've got Sammy Watkins. You've got Damian Williams. And they like to incorporate everybody in their scheme. Andy Reid, one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. And now we have to worry about this guy named Raheem Mostert for the 49ers. You know, that was a guy that was probably on no one's radar coming into the Super Bowl until his performance in the NFC Championship game, where he put up 220 yards, 4 touchdowns, and averaged 7.6 yards per carry in that 37-20 victory over the Packers. So now you've got a guy like him that will really benefit Jimmy Garoppolo, who has kind of struggled a little bit throughout these playoffs. So there's so much explosiveness in one game. So much explosiveness from the Chiefs, so much explosiveness from the 49ers. Star powers on each side of the ball, but the offensive side of the ball is going to be the area you want to watch more than anything else. The 49ers are averaging 29.9 points per game. The Chiefs right behind them at 28.2 points per game. And when you're looking at the numbers here, guys, obviously, like we said, the pass doesn't matter too much, whether it's a couple years ago. And the NFL, to me, the pass doesn't matter too much what you did in Week 1 compared to what you're about to do now in the Super Bowl. The 49ers, for the majority of the season, have been way more balanced than the Kansas City Chiefs because they've had that complement of Raheem Mostert and, of course, Tevin Coleman, who has been battling a little bit of an injury, and we hope he will be back for the Super Bowl. So the Niners been more balanced. The Chiefs, they air it out way more, as you should when you've got such a great quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, a guy that this year followed up a phenomenal 2018 campaign with 4,031 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions this season. And, you know, last year the Chiefs just seemed so unstoppable. You know, they fell to the Patriots in the AFC title game, but for the entire season, no one seemed to figure out Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, that this year it almost felt like a drop-off for them, even though Mahomes was putting up ridiculous stats once again, leading his team to yet another ridiculous record, 6-4 start, winning their final 6 to finish 12-4 and getting that number 2 seed in the AFC. So the Chiefs did not drop off in the slightest bit. They just didn't receive as much attention because of this guy named Lamar Jackson. So you go over to the defensive side of the ball, guys. You know, defense wins championships, and someone's defense is going to have to step up in this game because of how well both of these offenses play. And when you look at the defensive side of the ball, it is, without a doubt, certain that the 49ers own the edge on that side of the ball. And you have to give a lot of credit to their defensive coordinator and Robert Saleh. Guys, they're allowing 15 points per game this season and just 41.5 rushing yards per game. So right there, ridiculous stats. And right there you see that the Chiefs are probably not going to have much success running the ball against this 49ers defense. And that's okay, because they like to air it out anyway. A lot of pressure is going to be on Patrick Mahomes, but I think he's going to be just fine utilizing Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins and Damian Williams out of the backfield. I'm not too worried about that for Kansas City. But you talked about Robert Saleh, guys, and what he did. The 49ers, they had the 26th ranked defense in the NFL in 2018. 26th ranked defense in the NFL in 2018, the year they went 4-12. In a span of 1 year, he has taken that defense and transformed them into the #1 defense in the NFL, led by some phenomenal stars as well. Some newcomers and some veterans, such as Nick Bosa, Dre Greenlaw, who has really stepped up for the 49ers this year, and of course, Richard Sherman, the former member of the Legion of Boom in Seattle, getting traded to a rival within the NFC West, and look at him now, back in yet another Super Bowl. So this 49ers defense, guys, is legit. They're legit, and that's what has carried them through the majority of this season. That is what's carried them through this playoff. It hasn't been the play of Jimmy Garoppolo. It's been their run game and their defense. And we will touch more on that in a second, but that is a major storyline to watch in this one. For Kansas City, a lot of people like to look at it and say they're so good on offense that they don't have to be that good on defense. Patrick Mahomes and this offense is so good, they're going to get into a shootout and they're going to be able to outscore you. If the defense gets a stop here and there, that's great. This Kansas City defense, guys, is extremely underrated, and one of the major reasons they've been so good this season, and one of the reasons they've been so good in these playoffs so far, is because of their very tenacious pass rush. These guys are going to get after you relentlessly. They have 8 sacks in their 2 playoff games. And what's crazier to me is in 2 playoff games, they have those 8 sacks. 4 of them came from the recently acquired Frank Clark. 4 sacks in 2 games for Frank Clark. That is the most of any player from the AFC or the NFC in these 2019-2020 playoffs. You've got Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, on the side of Kansas City. You have Chris Jones. You've got Terrell Suggs, so a veteran as well. And that's another beauty of this, guys, too, is we mentioned the quarterback battle between Garoppolo and Mahomes and how these 2 guys were kind of becoming stars in the NFL, kind of taking over, almost a passing of the torch. But both San Francisco and Kansas City kind of have a mix here of youth, guys that are going to become the leaders of the NFL, but they also have a mixture of guys that are slowly on their way out, guys that are veterans that have played in big games like this before. And I look at that both offensively but defensively as well, with the 49ers having Richard Sherman, and then, of course, the Chiefs having a guy like Terrell Suggs. Might not play as big of a role, but you can never underestimate the leadership ability that a guy can bring on the sideline, guys. Even if they don't play that much out on the field, just having that experience and having that knowledge, from a veteran that's been in this position before, that goes a long way for a football team. So what are going to be the keys to this game, guys? What are going to be the keys in Super Bowl 54 down in Miami? We'll start with San Francisco, and the first thing you have to look at for the 49ers is that Jimmy Garoppolo has to get going. He has to step it up in the biggest game of his career. Biggest game of his young career. You know, one of the major reasons the 49ers struggled in 2018 was because Jimmy Garoppolo tore his ACL. And he has bounced back, in my opinion, in a very strong way. Just not in the playoffs. In the 2 playoff games for the 49ers against the Vikings and the Packers, both were in San Francisco, Garoppolo went just 7 to combine. In those 2 games combined, 17 for 27, 208 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. For most quarterbacks, that's an average game. That's 1 game. That stat line is in 1 game. Garoppolo put those stats up in 2 games combined. So it's not really if something's working, don't change it. Don't fix it. You know, obviously in the NFC Championship game, Mostert was going off. The Packers had no answer for him, so why would you pass the ball when you're running the ball so effectively? So I do get that. But the 49ers, in their 2 playoff games, have relied on the running game and their defense to win for them. It really hasn't been through the play of Jimmy Garoppolo. And against this Chiefs team that has such a great pass rush, and against a Chiefs team that's allowing under 100 rushing yards per game, Garoppolo is going to have to step it up. And he is a very capable quarterback. We know that. He is a good quarterback. Learned from the greatest of all time. But he's going to have to step it up big in this one. If he does not, then the 49ers will not win Super Bowl 54. So that is the key. Jimmy Garoppolo stepping up and playing well in the biggest game of his career. For the Chiefs, might be a no-brainer here, but they have to avoid a slow start. If you go back and watch the Chiefs' divisional round game against the Texans and then their championship game against the Titans, they found themselves down 24-0 early to Houston in that divisional round, and then they found themselves down 17-7 midway through the second quarter in that AFC title game against the Titans. They can't do that in the Super Bowl. They cannot have a slow start in the Super Bowl. If the Chiefs come out and find themselves down big early, like they were against Houston, like they were against Tennessee, then the game is over and the 49ers will win because they can control the tempo and control the clock with their run game, and their defense is good enough to get a lot of stops. This is going to be one of the most difficult defenses that the Chiefs have faced all season long. If they come out there and start slow, then the game is over and the 49ers will be Super Bowl 54 champions. So, 49ers need good quarterback play out of Jimmy Garoppolo. The Chiefs have to start fast. They have to start fast. And if they don't start fast, their defense has to do enough to not find themselves in a big deficit in the second or third quarter. That's going to be the key in this one. So who wins this game, guys? It's the biggest game of the year, the last really football game of the year. Yes, I know we had the XFL coming up right after the Super Bowl. But when you're looking at the 2 major divisions of football, college football and the NFL, this is the last one we have for months until August. What you need to expect down in Miami on Sunday night is the game's going to start with the 2 teams feeling each other out. I don't expect these teams, as explosive as they can be, I don't expect these teams to be, meeting each other step for step right out of the gate. You've got a lot of players here, guys, that are playing in their first Super Bowl, or guys that really haven't had this much big game experience. So they're going to be feeling each other out very early on. So don't expect a very fast start from either. But to me, the Kansas City Chiefs have the edge in this game. Some may disagree, but you look at it from two ways. First off, it's Andy Reid, one of the greatest coaches in the NFL that has yet to win a Super Bowl. So you got Andy Reid, who has been here before, all the way back in 2005 with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's got Super Bowl experience. He's got lots of postseason experience. He is hungry for that first Super Bowl title. And then I look at the quarterback play, and I think Patrick Mahomes outduels Jimmy Garoppolo. I think both are phenomenal quarterbacks, and I do not think this is going to be the last appearance in the Super Bowl for either quarterback in their very young careers. But in this game, Patrick Mahomes has too many weapons surrounding him. He is just too elusive, too insane to lose this game. He outduels Jimmy Garoppolo in a relatively low-scoring game. I don't see this game getting into the 30s. I don't expect it to be a 34-31 game. The winning team might get there, but the losing team will not. The Kansas City Chiefs will win down in Miami their first Super Bowl since 1970. It has been 50 years, guys, and in the 100th year of the NFL, I couldn't think of a more fitting way to end it all. So guys, thank you so much for watching here on YouTube. Make sure to like this video and check out everything we have for you in the description below. We've got exclusive college football news and offers that you do not want to miss. And if you like this NFL content, we've got more of that coming to you as well. Not just in the following days, but next season as well. So make sure you do not miss out on that. And once again, as always, thank you for watching. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.